Lockdown has affected us all in lots of ways, but news of pubs, restaurants and cinemas reopening across parts of the country will be welcome to so many people. But the question we're now going to ask is, what about theatres?
Yes, they're not set to reopen anytime soon, it seems. And to actors and performers like Sir Michael Palin, that is extremely worrying. He's joining us now. Sir Michael, good morning.
Morning.
Morning, good morning.
Good morning. It's always good to see you and talk to you. And, you know, we know that you are a huge lover of the theatre, and this is very, very worrying times for theatres up and down the country.
Yes, absolutely, because theatre is one of those things that unless we really get on top of coronavirus, unless there are sufficient precautions for people to just go in, take their places, for actors to move around the stage, touch each other, all that sort of thing you have to do. Unless we can ensure they can do this safely, there won't be any theatres opening for a long time soon. You can't have a quarter open theatre with people sitting a metre or even 2 metres apart. So I think there is a real problem. There's a huge amount of talent out there that's not being used at the moment. And I think that's particularly sad, not just acting talent, it's designers, it's people who run the theatres themselves, people who work in the theatre, build the sets. So a lot of people are not being used well at the moment.
But what is your feeling? What is your instinct towards this? Do you think this is a solvable problem? I mean, because we think in terms of we're the audience, what are we going to do as an audience? But as performers, as musicians in orchestra pits, as technicians behind the scenes, as actors who have to embrace or whatever they do on stage, do you think this problem's solvable, Sir Michael, or do you realise, no, we're in real trouble here?
Well, I think we're in trouble until there is some way of safely, getting together in the way we did before, and being able to touch and move and sit close to each other, and in interiors as well. I mean, there's a lot of talk at the moment of people going out to beaches and open air being safer than indoors. Well, theatre is generally indoors, apart from a few excellent outdoor theatres. So I don't see when and how it's going to work until we get a positive message that it's now safe to go and sit in a theatre, and safe for actors and musicians and all that to perform there.
And a large majority of the people you're talking about there, whether it's the actors, the stage crews, the orchestra, so many of them are freelance, and a lot of them struggling financially. And that's why you're going to be involved on Sunday with a Zoom version of Waiting for Godot, but you're calling it a bit of Waiting for Godot.
What is a bit? Well, because I studied Godot 40 years ago for A-level. And, it would be delighted to have someone like you illustrate it. So how can you have a bit of Godot?
Well, the thing is that the whole play is probably about, I don't know, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours long. The preferred sort of audience attention span on Zoom is supposed to be around about 40 minutes. So we're just doing, Robert and myself and Joanna playing wonderfully the narrator. We will be doing the first sort of 25 minutes and then a little bit at the end. So you do get a feeling and a flavour of it. But for those who want to see the entire play, sadly, Zoom does not really permit it at the moment.
But the reason you're raising money for the Royal Theatrical Fund to help,
Yes,
as we said, all those people that we've just been discussing. So people pay, I think it's £35 to watch this, you and Robert Lindsay, narrated by Joanna, and that will help that fund, you hope?
Well, any money that comes in will be directed by the Royal Theatrical Fund, of which Robert Lindsay is president, towards helping people stay in their jobs as long as possible and be ready for when the time comes that theatres open again. And I think it'll be probably one of those stage reopenings. Sorry, bad pun. But there will be various stages at which the theatres will reopen. I think people just have to be ready. We mustn't use all the skills and all the talents that are working in theatre at the moment, both musical writers, actors, whatever. We mustn't let them just disappear. Because it's a huge industry, and one of which we're sort of envied throughout the world. I think our West End theatre is probably the envy of the world.
You're doing this from home, as we said, on Zoom. So many of us doing, work meetings on Zoom. How are you coping with the technology? What about costumes? Are you going to be in costume?
Props?
Props?
Well, no, we try that. Unfortunately, you can't really do Godot justice without seeing the bottom half of the body. So, it's a very strange way of doing it. So we can't really do it in full costume, and we're not pretending that we're on stage, because I think people will see through that. And the Beckett estate, who have very, very generously allowed us to do this, because there are lots of people wanting to do Beckett's performances, have sort of said they prefer us to do it as we are at this stage, on Zoom in our own homes, as that's the way we communicate nowadays. So I'm hoping that my study will look like a blasted heath with one tree on it by the time we've...
You're looking well, Sir Michael, and I'm asking you because since we last saw you, since you were last in the studio, you've had a touch of heart surgery, a bit of open heart surgery.
Yeah.
Everything okay?
Yes, everything's fine, I think. Oh! No, it's... yeah, the Eamonn effect, I was told. Be very careful. Go on about flies around my body and all that sort of thing. I don't want to get into that.
Any flies under your lights? We were talking about flies.
No flies on our lights. No, I feel fine, actually, and would like to get back to going on stage and acting and writing as well myself. So I'm sticking to writing at the moment.
Well, you keep safe, you keep well, keep on doing what you're doing. A bit of Waiting for Godot is Sunday, 7 o'clock. And did you actually know how people do this? I mean, I'm talking about me. How would I log on to that? How do I find you on Zoom?
I don't know. I think you have to get two sticks and rub them together. And when there's a spark, then you get sort of a reception. Don't ask me.
Where do we
we'll
apply
ask
for
some
tickets?
16-year-old. They can do that for you if you're worried about that.
Do we know how they do it? Anybody?
Well, they do
on
it very
our
skillfully.
website.
I mean,
We'll
I
put
know
the
that
details
there
on
are-
our website. We'll put the details on our web. I'm being told by young people that we can put the details on our website and add a link, a magical. People press a link and it'll take them straight to you.
Isn't it wonderful being young?
Isn't it
really
just?
is.
Quite jealous. We're quite jealous.
Sir Michael, thank you very much indeed. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great to talk to you.